All right, with that allegation against Republicans, we just want to step in here for just a second. Jason Chaffetz, former Republican congressman and Fox News contributor, Matthew Whitaker also, and they just invoked your name, so we heard you momentarily ago, and then they mentioned you. Defund the FBI was the accusation that Ted Lieu had, Jason, saying that that's what Republicans are seeking. What's your reaction to that?
They want accountability. Republicans are wondering and questioning if it should be reorganized in such a way that it's become too unwieldy. With 38,000 FBI agents and a portfolio that is so broad and so wide and so politicized, maybe they should look at it. That's a responsible way for Congress to act. They should have that debate. I think the Democrats are organized in just invoking Trump, 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 and they are very pinpointed. I'm shocked that the Republicans have not asked some of the pointed questions that they should about Biden, about classified documents that Biden had. How come they're not asking about the Hunter Biden probe? How come they're not asking us? I haven't heard David Weiss, the U.S. attorney in Delaware. They haven't even asked him that question, and they haven't gone and followed up on how is the FBI going to assist Congress in going after a duly issued subpoena on the administration. Well, look, there's so many questions that are left to be asked.
You were the chairman of oversight when you were on the Hill. And so when you say that there are gaps in Republican questioning and you say why, what's your thinking on it? Why hasn't it happened? Is there some crescendo that should be expecting at this point?
Republicans tend to be independent operators. Look, I thought Gates was real good. I thought Congressman Johnson was very pinpointed in his questions. And what Jim Jordan started to do, talking about targeting of Catholics, that was very effective. But there's too many of them that are off just doing their own thing.
You know what? I asked my team to pull that as that was happening from Jim Jordan, Chairman Jordan pressing, saying that the FBI is showing up in churches as informants. Let's watch.
Let me just read from page 4. Provide new opportunities to mitigate extremist threat through outreach to traditional Catholic parishes and the development of sources with the placement and access to report on places of worship. That's pretty fancy language for they're trying to put informants in the parish, in the church. That's what this memorandum said, Director, from one of your field offices, and you won't let us talk to the people who did it. Any response to that?
I didn't know. I was waiting for the question.
No, why would they even think about doing this? You know what the motivation was?
Well, again, I think that's what our internal review will find, and I'd rather wait until I hear what the results of that internal
Well, I don't need an internal review. I can read the document.
So interesting about that, Jason, because Director Wray's first response was, I was aghast when I found out they were doing that in Catholic churches. But then he wants to wait for the report to tell him why it might have happened. Is he in charge or not?
Well, that's a big question, but I got to tell you, congressmen, when they ask a pointed question, they want information about FISA, about targeting things. Then they need to get the director on the record and say, when am I going to have that? When do we get a classified briefing? And pinpoint him, make him give him a date and ask him and have him explain before all of the American people why the chairman of the Judiciary Committee cannot get in there and interview these people. There's no excuse for that. It's the people's house, and they need to go and be more aggressive that way, not just say, okay, well, we look forward to seeing your report.
Matthew,
that doesn't stand. That should not be an acceptable answer.
Matthew Whitaker, what I hear Jason saying is that they need to be more prosecutorial. They need to go in there as a team of lawyers, if you will, a team ready to go. And why is that so critical? Have Democrats done that from what you're watching?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, Chris Wray is a talented witness. He has done this many times. He's very good at appearing to be agreeing with them while, you know, at the same time not having the best facts at his discretion. So, you know, they're going to have to Jason's point, to really dial in and start asking yes/no questions and pin him down as to what the answers are on these key issues, Harris, because the targeting of not only the Catholics in their parishes, but also parents at school boards and political opponents of this administration, I think are three areas where we need concrete, specific answers from the director.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.